Right then, welcome back to another edition of Games X. This one is issue number 4 from the 24th of May 1991. How old are you back then? Don't say you weren't born, makes me feel old. So the first thing we'll do is skip, obviously, straight to the news section, and we see Xenon 2 on the CD TV. Now I don't know about you, but I didn't have a CD TV back in the day. Back in the day, is that cliche again? But I was kind of curious to get one, but they were way too expensive, and quite frankly, the quality of games, and not just the quality, but the quantity really, just wasn't there. And so I was never tempted. In fact, even now, I'm still not really tempted, but, you know, as we get older, we get a bit more of a disposable income. And never say never, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. But ultimately, if you've got an Amiga, if you've got an ST, do you really need the CD TV as well? Especially a copy of Xenon 2, it's the bloody same thing. What you'll probably get is a better soundtrack, because it's, you know, a CD, but apart from that, that's about it. There we see a game called Duster, never heard of it. So we've got a few things down there, what the hell's that? Wacky Races? Look at that, Neo Geo. Talking about the release of the CD-ROM. That's kind of funny, just reading that. So yeah, now I did have a Neo Geo CD-ROM, was it the CDZ I think, or maybe it was the other one I had, in around about 2000, 2001, 2002, and it was alright. It was alright, it was nothing particularly special, I've got to be honest, that was my feeling at the time. But, you know, I do want to get one again. I do have a couple of games for the, you know, on the CD. I mean, I want to get an AES, but it's just so expensive, it's just ridiculous. And I just simply can't justify it. And I am an idiot, but I'm not that stupid, you know, to go out and spend potentially hundreds upon hundreds, thousands in some cases, on games. But with that said, never say never. Just in case. Pac-Man down there. Oh, look at this. Final Fight. There's Hagar. I don't know what this is. Is Final Fight just about to come out? It must have been. Some kind of preview. Brilliant. Yeah, it mentions there, US Gold is due to release Final Fight on the Commodore 64, Amstrad, Amiga, ST and Spectrum. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Just a brilliant game. And in fact, more... I don't know, for me it's probably more memories than the actual game, you know, the nostalgia of Final Fight. It was a good game, but, yeah... I think that sometimes the memory and nostalgia plays tricks on the mind, doesn't it? Barbarian 2. Now, this isn't to be confused with the other Barbarian 2, which, who made that one? Oh, I can't even remember. But it was a kind of the one-on-one beat-em-up, you know, with Marie Whittaker on the front with her scantily clad outfit. Who could forget that? But yeah, no, this is another one. This one is made by Psygnosis. It's kind of curious how they had two games with the same name around at the, you know, at a similar time. A bit odd, really. Game called Agony, which I have on the Amiga. That was sent to me very kindly by Ash 81B4U. I think that was last year sometime. And it, you know, brilliant game, fantastic soundtrack. And again, speaking of this game, you know, Agony's a Psygnosis game, and they really put a lot of pride and effort into their games. There's a Turtles 2 coming out, is what they're talking about there. Tintin on the Moon. Gallop Up Charts. I've done it again, Gallop Up. Gallop Charts. Not really going to see anything new from previous weeks. Public domain advert, software giveaway. There's my number, 66645 for this issue. It's probably in there, probably 120 grand, but what can you do now? Free for all. So this is just a little article about, check that out, like the ultimate geek with his anorak and his hair and his glasses. And there's the same guy, all suited and booted. So this is ultimately just an article, I think, from what I can gather, just about public domain. And basically people just being able to make it cheap, you know, in the privacy of their own bedroom. Make it cheap, make it for nothing, I guess, ultimately. And then sell it on. Yeah, I remember when public domain was a big deal back in the day, but I never really got into it. Because obviously the graphics weren't particularly good, because it was just usually just people, you know, making it, you know, by themselves in their bedroom. And I don't know, back then, maybe I was a little bit vain. Not that I'm not now, but I mean, maybe I was a little bit more vain then. I just wanted the best. Anything else simply wouldn't do. But with that said, I did have Larmatron. I did enjoy it. Getting 4 out of 5 there. A Jeff Minter game. Very psychedelic. First review this issue is Mercs. This one is for the Commodore Amiga. 4 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, I do love these kind of games. I love Doves as well. The band and the soap. I'm a Dove man. What are you? Joking aside, I am a Dove man, and I do need to get some Dove soap when we go shopping later on. Just kind of inadvertently reminded myself. So, yeah, anyway, never mind Doves. I do love Mercs, and in fact any kind of horizontal and vertical shooter in general. You know, similar games like this, I guess Ikari Warriors, Commando, Warzone. Yeah, brilliant. That looks, I'd say it looks a really good game. Obviously I've played it before. It is a good game. Next up is a game called Full Contact. This is a funny one because I had heard of it before, but I just, you know, long forgotten about it. This one here reviewed for the Amiga, and it gets 4 out of 5, pretty decent game. But not just that, but it looks really good. As I focus in on a Pitbull thing there. But look at the graphics. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm easily pleased. But I think these look amazing. Where's the better example? I mean, look at that. Look at the lighting. Absolutely fantastic. And it essentially, from what I can gather, just looks like a beat-em-up, essentially. And the one which immediately springs to mind, you know, the immediate comparison would be IK+. But look at that light in the background. That looks lovely. Now, the first thing I did was went onto eBay. This is, you know, last week sometime. And there was a copy in a case. Now, I don't know if they just come in cases as opposed to boxes. But I'd rather have the box, but, you know, I'm a little bit fussy like that. But it was 35 quid, I think, and I thought, I'm not paying that. You can jog on. But it looks stunning. I really want to get that. So some stage in the future, might be this year, might be 50 years from now, but expect me to definitely pick this one up. Looks fantastic. Shanghai 2, Dragon's Eye. I know nothing about Shanghai, the game Shanghai. But if you do, then you'll want to get this one because it got 5 out of 5 on the PC. Next up is a game called The Adventures of Mad Dog Williams. Now, this one gets 4 out of 5 on the Atari ST, and it looks absolutely rubbish, yet at the same time, I want to get it. Because I love these kind of point-and-click adventure games. And graphics aren't everything. Well, in fact, they're nothing really in the scheme of things. You know, it's all about being immersed into a storyline. And to feel as if you're there and living and breathing that world. And I can always do that when it comes to these games, but man alive, them graphics are bordering on bollocks. I mean, they are bad. But I don't care, I want to get it because I love those kind of games. And it looks charming, to be fair. Mickey Mouse 2 on the Game Boy, 3 out of 5. Not a lot to say about that. But it does make me laugh, I'll just quickly say that. I remember in 1992, as we skirt over a review for a Super Squeak on the Amiga, 3 out of 5. It does remind me to, you know, talking of the Game Boy, in 1992 I went to Tenerife, and there's a friend of mine had a Game Boy, and I really wanted to take it with me, you know, on the plane and on the way back and all the rest of it, and he was not into it at all. He was like, nah, I don't want to, you know, I want it. But I had 2 copies of Lemmings on the ST, and I said, well, I'll give you a copy of Lemmings if you let me borrow your Game Boy for a week. And he said, all right. So I gave him a copy of Lemmings, and then I took his Game Boy with several games, and I bought a few when I was there as well, which is a bit mad. I took it to Tenerife. So my memories of a Game Boy pretty much revolve around about, you know, that 91, 92 era, and I think of Tenerife. Got some mini reviews here. Bat, which I talked about a few issues back, which is essentially kind of a strategy adventure game. That's for the PC, 4 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is Mighty Bomb Jack for the PC. Used to love that for the ST. Then we've got 2 maximum scored Atari ST games. Pro Tennis Tour 2, which does look really good to be fair, and Chuck Rock, both getting 5. 5 out of 5. That's pretty generous, but fair enough. SimCity for the Famicom, 5 out of 5. Yeah, I can understand that. Tipex Truxton, I used to have that on the Mega Drive. In fact, if you've got it, you can have a little cheat there. That's what you do. Killing Game Show, I've got that one. On the Amiga, in the UK, I don't have it here at the moment. SimCity, speaking of. Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge for the ST and the Amiga. Again, pause it if you want the cheat. Dragon Breed. And Populous. What's the other one at the top there? Gauntlet. Brilliant. So we get Dragon's Breed Player's Guide. Turrican 2 Player's Guide. Yeah, I really want to get the Turrican games back, you know, into the collection, but they're so pricey, it's ridiculous. But they are good games. Indiana Jones there, on the Sega Master System. Player's Guide, sneak preview. Gallup charts. Now we've got the top of the Amiga chart, Armageddon. Atari ST. CPC, Dizzy at the top, obviously. Sega Master System. And then we've got the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, Dizzy at the top once again, and Dizzy at the top once again for the Commodore 64. And then there's the budget labels. Paperboy there, number 6. Afterburner, number 7. Yeah, I didn't mind that one, that was pretty good. Advert for ST Action. Dr. X and his sarcasm. Piping up again. Console connections. Flipple for the Game Boy. It says import, so I'm guessing that's Japanese. Just looks like Tetris, basically. Look at that. Midnight Resistance. I used to love that game for the Amiga and the ST. 96%. Thoroughly deserved. That's for the Mega Drive, that one. A game called Flicky on the Mega Drive again. 58%. Not particularly great. Some PC Engine games there. Sports Basketball. Dead Moon. Dead Moon? That looks interesting. Like a shoot 'em up. Go Go Tank. Unbelievable. Game Gear Review. Castle of Illusion. 82%. 25 things you never knew about DMA Design. Now, DMA Design were essentially, I think, behind the likes of Lemons, I think, wasn't it? I know it was Psygnosis were the publisher, but was the developer a DMA? I'm pretty certain it was. Anyway, there's some stats. Some stats and facts that you... Oh, there we go. Yeah, Lemons, number 1. Lemons was written over lunch. The actual truth was that Mike Daly spent his lunchtime working on some graphics of characters going up a hill with a gun blasting at them. Unbelievable. Let's focus in on a few more. DMA was approached by Probe to convert Golden Axe on the ST and the Amiga in 3 months. Naturally, they turned down the offer. If we had churned it out quickly, the quality would have suffered, and we would have gotten a bad name. Very true. So people on principle here. Imagine that these days, they'd just take the money and run, wouldn't they? Wouldn't care if it's a rubbish conversion or not. Look at that for a childish number 25. The Making of Utopia, the 2nd chapter. I guess following on from the 1st chapter last month. Advert there, Megamix. Games X Classified. I'm pretty certain at some stage in the past I placed adverts in Games X. I'm going to have to read through every single one of them and see if my advert's in. Imagine how funny that would be. Street Talk, speaking of hilarity. So this one is in Software Plus in Stevenage. If anyone is in or around that area, let's check out the people. There's Martin, the manager. He is loving it. Look at him with his... He looks like Jimmy Greaves. Little tash and the hair. Oh, little hair there is. There's Andrew there. Look at that hair. And look at his friend, Stephen Middleton. They've got the same hair. There's Martin Howers. I'd love it if some of these people are reading this. It would be amazing. Mark Thorpe. Graham Triggs, This Is Your Life. Ian Shelford with an I. Looks like another footballer, Lee Chapman. Robert Baker. Andy Rowland and Mark Faulkner. Look at that. Unbelievable. Arcade Extravaganza. Rampart. I didn't even know Rampart was an arcade machine back then. Steel Gunners. Go Global. Nothing really exciting this month. Hot and spicy foods, pizza bread. Them turtle things. Nice watch at the bottom. Who's that made by? I can't even see. And we get all the news at the time from the movies and the music that was coming out there. Sure. God, Global, brilliant. Letters page. There's a granny. 60-odd-year-old granny there writing in for some bizarre reason. Are you ready for Rebound? 0898 224 850. Yeah, you might win that snooker table. It just might, might cost you 55 quid in telephone calls to get it. Which I guess is worth it, but when everyone else is paying 55 quid, it's, that company definitely made a fair whack out of people's money. Anyway, hero quest at the back. And that's it for this month. Games X. Unbelievable. 1991, 24th of May. Where does the time fly? See you later. Unbelievably missed this out. I skipped a page. This isn't worth it, but it's an added bonus. DLC. Free DLC on my video. European Super League for the Atari ST, 2 out of 5. Not particularly great. And then last but not least is Wreckers, which I've mentioned, I think, in a couple of the previous issues. But was it worth the wait? Probably not. 2 out of 5. Although it does look quite good. To be fair, I think it does. Looks alright. But anyway, that's the DLC over with. Until next time, see you later. Focus, focus, focus. Rubbish camera.